Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you, sir.
The moment I see the name Aryan, I think of Aryan Dravidian. What are these groups? These groupings is based on what?
Sir, these groups are mostly based on language, the linguistic groups. For example, Aryans refers to those who speak Indo-Aryan or Indo-European languages, while Dravidians refers to those who speak Dravidian languages.
Dravidian languages would be what?
So the Dravidian languages, the main Dravidian languages are Tamil, Telugu, Kannada and Malayalam, and there are others too, certain other languages too.
You belong to Jharkhand. Yes. Now, why was Ranchi selected as the capital? Why not, let's say, Dhanbad? Why not, let's say, Jamshedpur?
Sir, I'm not very confident about this, but it is perhaps because
That's an opinion.
So it is perhaps because Ranchi was already a big city, a relatively big city in Jharkhand. And apart from that, there are also the birthplace of Bhagwan Birsa Munda in Ulihatu, which is in Ranchi district. So perhaps that is one of the reasons.
Suppose for some reason the capital is to be shifted. Where would you recommend it shifted?
Sir, I would perhaps shift it to Jamshedpur since it is...
And why?
So since Jamshedpur is the largest city in Jharkhand, and also it is a major industrial center, so and with good infrastructure and civic amenities, so I would shift it there.
Has Jharkhand managed to get over its image of being a very lawless kind of place in terms of the coal market, etc.? Or are people of Jharkhand still suffering from that image?
Sir, as a big picture, I would say certainly Jharkhand has overcome that image. But there are certainly pockets where in coal mining areas, especially where there are some issues, there are lingering issues. But overall, I would say that it has largely shed that image.
What do you base that?
Sir, I'm basing that on my observations as a resident of Jharkhand, my common observations.
Does Jharkhand have a railway division?
Sir, in my knowledge, no, sir, it does not have a separate railway division.
Okay, which is the nearest railway division?
So it is Southeastern Railways.
That's a zone.
Then sorry, sir, I'm not very well aware.
Another division.
Sorry, sir, I'm not aware of this.
All right. Coming to the news that is going on. Why do you think Mr. Trump is not very happy with the idea of a very fluid gender? He says it's either made of evil or nothing else. Why do you think he's so fixated on this idea?
So the reason I think he is fixated because it became a big issue in USA, especially in the past few years. And traditionally to Western civilization, if we talk about, is based on very rigid gender boundaries between male and female. And so that is the reason.
Do you think India historically also has rigid gender boundaries? Our civilization?
No, sir, I don't believe our civilization has very rigid gender boundaries. For example, we have transgender communities, and also many of our texts mention about third gender and gender fluidity.
In fact, now that you remind me, there is a concept of Lord Shiva called Ardhanarishwar. Yes. What does that mean, Ardhanarishwar?
Sir, Ardhanarishwar refers to the fact that that incarnation of Lord Shiva is half male, half female.
What does that indicate, half male, half female?
Sir, on a philosophical level, it perhaps reflects equal parts masculine qualities and feminine qualities.
Does it make it a third gender?
Sir, it certainly puts it outside a traditional rigid two-gender framework. So it could put it, we can put it in the third gender category.
Okay, or is it trying to convey that the duality, if there is male, there is female. I mean, there can't be a male without a female, there can't be a female without a male. Do you think it's also trying to convey that?
Sir, perhaps, but I'm not very sure about this.
All right, now you're teaching assistant in IT Bombay. Yes. Teaching assistant means what?
So the basic responsibility of teaching assistant was to conduct tutorial sessions and as well as clear students' doubts. And apart from that, we also had to plan for the classes and the logistics issues. That was a basic responsibility.
I'm going to make a statement. I want you to react to that. I personally believe that IITs are really overhyped. What are your comments?
Sir, I believe that IITs are not overhyped because they are contributing to the nation's scientific and technological progress in many ways. For instance, if I talk about recent developments, IIT Bombay, researchers from IIT Bombay had developed an indigenous CAR therapy, CAR T cell therapy for cancer, the name NextCAR19. And apart from that, researchers from IIT Madras have also developed a brain atlas, a very high resolution brain atlas. So these are some of the very recent technological advances.
But why haven't any of these products or services made a worldwide name?
So one of the reasons is perhaps the CAR T cell therapy is very recent. It has come out only in the past last 1 or 2 years. So I think it will make a name as time goes on. And the brain atlas part, that is actually already making waves, and it is used by researchers from across the world.
Now, I think initially there were about 4 or 5 IITs. Now there are God knows how many. Aren't we diluting the brand name?
No, sir, I don't think we are diluting the brand name, because our population, especially the youth population, is also...
That doesn't make a difference. IT is supposed to be something very exclusive.
So, but if we consider it on a per capita or per thousand population basis...
Either you worry about the population or you worry about quality. Which side would you?
So certainly, sir, quality has to be prioritized. We should, even if we expand the number of ITs, we should ensure that the top-notch quality is maintained.
Are we able to do that?
Sir, about the new IITs, I'm not the infrastructure, as far as my knowledge goes, is quite decent. But there's certainly the issue of research output and related things.
What school have you studied in?
So engineering physics.
No. What school? Delhi Public School.
Yes.
Now Delhi Public School is actually a private school. So why is it called a public school?
So it is called a public school because it is open to all sections of the...
Anywhere you go abroad, it's the other way around. A private school is a private school, a government school is a public school. So why have we created this confusion?
So because in according to Constitution, Article 30, religious and linguistic minorities can also establish separate institutions. So I think that is the reason why public institution means it is open to all sections of the society, in my knowledge.
So we have nothing called a private school.
So they're legally private schools, but there's a nomenclature confusion, I think.
Now, there's a very peculiar thing in my last comment here, that we want to spend the private schools are so-called public schools. Meaning we do not want to send them to government schools. But in higher education, we want our children to go to government colleges. How do you explain this paradox?
So we can explain this paradox by basically in the higher education sector, many of the government-owned colleges are quite reputable and are globally renowned. But in school education, it is seen that the private schools have taken a lead in terms of quality. So that is why I believe this is the reason. Thank you.
On this debate of private-public, have you heard the new education policy? Yes. Who was the chairman?
So the chairman was Sri Ranganathan. Sorry, I do not recall the name.
Kasturi Rangan.
Oh, yes.
And before that, he was Cabinet Secretary, Mr. T.S.R. Subramaniam. Have you heard his name?
Sir, I've heard of the name, yes, sir.
He recommended that all public school should be known as private school, for your record. But subsequently, because if it is then done, then whole the governments, those who are supporter, they own those schools. So then their whole business will be affected. Just whatever. Now, you are interested in novels, non-fiction, essay. Are you comfortable? First, you tell me in brief difference between novels and non-fictions.
So novels are essentially fictional accounts and they have stories, and while non-fiction are based on facts.
Okay. Any example you like? Novels you like. But some novels must be Indian also.
Okay. So the most recent novel, for example, Kanthapura, I read by Raja Rao.
Okay.
And yes, sir. And apart from that, I also read George Orwell's Animal Farm in 1984.
Okay.
And
which year 1984 published?
So it was published in 1948.
Correct. And Kanthapura?
So Kanthapura, I believe, was published in 1937.
So now this is 100 years back, almost. Come to some current novels, because novel reflects the society. So are you going for the ancient India? No. We must know when we see the latest film, why not latest novel? Include some, and Indian writers.
So for some recent novel, it was from Chetan Bhagat, One Indian Girl, and that was I read Indian novel.
Okay. Chetan Bhagat is also from one of the IIT?
Yes, sir.
Delhi IIT.
Yes, sir, Delhi.
Okay. Other than Chetan Bhagat?
So I also read Amish Tripathi's book.
Okay. So the new branch. Come to the non-fiction. No. Which non-fiction you liked?
So the most recently I read The Art of Thinking Clearly by Rolf Dobelli. That was the latest one I read.
By George?
The Rolf Dobelli.
Okay. Again foreign. Come to India. Even if you have not read, at least some names can be there.
So for example, by Sri Raghuram Rajan, he has authored books on Indian economy.
Name?
So for example, Breaking the Mold is a recent novel.
Okay. Novel?
Sorry, sir, non-fiction.
Yes, yeah. Other than that?
So apart from
Every month, someone will keep coming. Recently, Arun Shourie on Savarkar.
yes, sir.
Vikram Sampath also on Savarkar.
Yes,
That Sanjay Baru, accidental Prime Minister.
yes.
Okay. Tell me, what quality of Manmohan Singh you liked? How will you describe Manmohan Singh for some important attributes?
So some important attributes I would describe are erudition and expertise, and other qualities are integrity and humility. These are the main.
Some important contribution other than liberalization?
So in 2013, for example, he and his government passed the National Food Security Act,
Okay.
and this was one contribution. And apart from that, the MG Narega was also.
Narega, okay. Think on that, just. We are good on right track. Other than that, when the government was about to fall on the issue,
So one issue was the Lokpal bill.
not Lokpal bill. Nuclear, that's agreement with US. Okay, thank you.
Aryan. Okay. Tabla. Who died? And the greatest tabla player.
So recently, Ustad Zakir Hussain died.
What was so special about his tabla playing?
So firstly, he was a virtuoso, and secondly, he was very innovative. He created many unique type of sounds from tabla. So these are the main qualities.
So, have you heard him in person, live?
No, so not live. I know.
Who's your favorite tabla player?
So I have mostly heard Ustad Zakir Hussain. I would say him only.
Excellent. Okay, okay. So now you play the guitar also? Hawaiian, Spanish?
It's a Spanish guitar.
Spanish. Why did you choose the Spanish version over the Hawaiian?
So my initial motivation was to learn to play popular songs. So since most popular songs are in Spanish, so that's why I chose.
That's got a zing, and that's more based on the rag. Okay. Are you aware of the rags, the Indian ragas?
So I'm familiar with few names.
Yeah.
So for example, Rag Bilawal and Rag Bhairav and Rag Malkhosh.
Okay. So, other rags played at different times of the day, different rags, or anything suits any time?
So rags have a specific time to play. There are also other restrictions. For example, I think it also depends on season and time on the day.
Okay. So, why was South Korea in news recently?
So South Korea was in news recently related to the impeachment. The president of South Korea tried to declare martial law midnight, and then the parliament impeached him. So that is why it was in news.
What was the name?
And no issue on railways.
Sir, the name of the president was Yoon Suk
Yoon Suk Yeol.
Yes, sir.
And who's there in North Africa as a ruler?
So North Africa.
North Korea.
So it is Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong? Okay. So, why is he perpetually in news?
So the reason he's perpetually in news is because of his belligerent policies, and for example, developing the nuclear arsenal and recently sending North Korean troops to Russia-Ukraine conflict too.
Okay. So, now tell me, what was the reason for the division of North Korea and South Korea?
So North Korea and South Korea divided after the Korean War, and they were based on ideological divisions. For example, the North Korea was communist, and South Korea was a capitalist economy. So it was on that basis.
Okay. What are the problems of the sub-Saharan region in Africa?
So some of the problems of sub-Saharan region are extreme prevalence of extreme poverty, as well as food insecurity and political instability, and these are the main problems.
Okay. Okay. So now if I say that quantum physics is the biggest marvel of the civilization, how will you justify it?
Sir, I will justify it.
How? Tell me.
Sir, on a purely theoretical level, quantum physics has allowed us to understand many phenomenon which has baffled physicists. For example, the photoelectric effect and the black body radiation. Only quantum physics could explain that. And apart from that, quantum physics is also the most correct theory of universe we have till now. All other theories, for example, Newton's laws of motion, they are all are special cases of quantum mechanics. And on the practical level too, quantum mechanics has yielded us many benefits. For example, recently there's research on quantum computing, but also research on quantum materials, and in real life, in daily life technology too, quantum mechanics has given us a lot.
Okay, now suppose as we sit here, we move toward the particle physics. So, are there some particles which are like hovering in the atmosphere around us, over you and I? Why can't we see them?
So the reason being they are very small.
And why can't we feel them?
So we can not directly feel them, but we can certainly feel aggregates. For example, I can touch this table, and this table is also ultimately made of those particles.
Okay, but some of those particles, when you said it's small, they are as big as many kilometers also. Those unseen particles, which you can't see, they are as huge as many kilometers also.
So I'm not very aware of this.
Okay, yeah. One of my friends is a nuclear physicist, and one day we had a long discussion on how many, miles they can go. Okay. So, who wrote these lines, I have miles to go before I sleep.
The woods are lovely, dark and deep.
The woods may be lovely, dark and deep.
So I think it was poet Robert Frost. He wrote these lines.
And, okay, and where were they found? In one of the very renowned leaders of India's possession.
So it was found written in diary of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, and that is a.
Right. Okay, thank you.
How many marks have you done so far?
So this is my 6th mock.
6. What in the feedback?
The feedback, for example, I did not remember some of the basic data in previous mocks, so they said you should revise that.
What kind of that?
So, for example, related to Indian economy, the GDP of India's neighboring countries, I did not remember the exact.
How you don't remember that? I won't. Okay, alright.
And for example, there was some questions related to government policies, for example, foreign trade policy. I did not remember the specific details.
Any other feedback?
Yes, sir. One was that I don't take a lot of pause before answering questions. I answer them rather quickly. So in a few mocks, I get the feedback that the dress could be better. For example, tie should be of lighter.
What's wrong with this?
You are wearing this tie?
Yes, sir.
I mean, let's go not go into those. I mean, unless it's a very shiny, bright tie, I'll let everything go. Number 1. Number 2, how am I supposed to remember the I don't remember the unity of India. How would I remember it of neighboring countries? Is that perhaps right? So then, we tend to focus too much on what we know or we don't know. We forget that it's a personality test. What you know is already tested when you pass the written exam. And if any board is expecting you to know everything, then they are not telling you the right thing. I find you very, very good. The way you answer, most of the answers have been very, very thoughtful. You answer very well, you speak well, you look very confident. I mean, I to the extent that I have nothing much to advise you about. Maybe one, two questions you could have paused before answering. I think that I think you are one of the better ones that I've come across in a long time. I think you've got a lot of time, correct? 9 years is plenty of time. How do you plan to utilize this time?
So I'm studying some physics, some astrophysics, which could possibly.
That's your subject. Marrying that.
Some newspapers, daily reading, and I'm also planning to revise the basic stuff related to economy and basically economy.
You've already given 5-6 marks. How many more do you intend to do?
So, for example, I have more mock scheduled on Sunday. One more.
Till your interview comes, how many do you plan to do?
So 10 maybe total.
All put together. Yeah. Try not to go beyond that. You will keep getting contrasting feedback, it's going to confuse issues. Whatever you are getting, consolidate on that and work on whatever it will change you need to improve. But as far as I am concerned, you do absolutely great. You want to ask me anything?
No, sir, nothing.
100%. One of the best. More mock, more conflicting. And because we have not touched physics, that maybe up around 10th of March or 15th of March, just to keep yourself, whatever you are. The newspaper, which newspaper you are reading?
So Indian Express.
Ads. Hindu also, and some economic also, because the current affairs, current issue will be from all point of view that will be covered. Otherwise, absolutely perfect. This is your first attempt.
This is third attempt was first interview.
First interview doesn't matter.
You do it.
But you do it.
No doubt.
Percentage. Don't worry about this dress. This is perfectly. This is matching with you. Frankly.
Aryan, you're a very promising candidate. Both of them have given you very sound advice. I would say no more mocks required.
Yeah,
You are very good. What I can suggest to you for using this time is go to the field. Go to the district. Go to the panchayat office. See what is happening. Go to the tehsildar's office. See how they are doing the land revenue records. Go to the SDM, ADM, collector's office. They can tell the collector, I want to spend the day with you, sir. I am going to take my interview. Okay, spend, and nobody is going to refuse you. We look very fondly upon our professionals, so you are likely to become one. So understand what goes on at the ground level. That will complete your education. You know, running from mock to mock is, you're good. You think just done. But you can supplement your knowledge from the field.
You go look at some good videos about governance.
Ha.
Civil service.
Yes.
I mean, add to it. You already go. Anything else? All the best.